Hi, everybody. It's me, Hannah Farmer, the Youth Services Librarian here at the Seguin Public Library. Thanks for joining us today. We're having Preteen Book Club online where I'm recommending books for ages 9 to 12. Bit of a difference there. And today I wanted to focus on the Texas Bluebonnet list. That list is books recommended by librarians across the state of Texas for roughly ages 9 to 12 and ages around that. We have the list for 21-22 here at the library. You can pick up one of these at the children's desk. There are 20 books on this list, and I know a lot of you guys are reading these because most of them are checked out. So I'm not actually talking about the Bluebonnet books per se, but I'm going to recommend books that are like some of the titles on this list. So the first one of the Bluebonnet books is called Canyon's Edge by Dusty Bowling. And I know if you go to Navarro, especially, that one of your librarians has book talked this book to you. Canyon's Edge is about a girl that has to survive during a hiking trip. She is with her father, and suddenly there's a flash flood and they get separated. So she has to survive just completely on her own and try to find and ultimately save her father. So if you really like survival stories like that, I really recommend this book, All 13. Let's not get the glare. There we go. Okay, so here's the book, All 13. This is a nonfiction book, so it might be kind of weird to think about a nonfiction book being a lot like a fiction book, but this is a true story of the incredible cave rescue of the Thai boys soccer team. This is written by Christina Soontornvat, and again, it's a nonfiction account of a rescue that really happened. So in 2018, this boys soccer team were practicing for their game. And a lot of times their coach would take them on fun trips after practice. This time they had been talking for a while about going to hike a nearby cave. And so, it wasn't rainy season yet, but so they decided to go. They went to this cave, hiked like 3 miles in. It sounds like a beautiful, beautiful cave. And then it unexpectedly poured down rain and there was a flash flooding, so that when they turned around to come back out, they were completely stuck. The way back was blocked by water. And so they spent days down in there. Some of you might even remember, this was on the news. There were diving teams that went to try to rescue them, and ultimately they all survived. It's a really amazing story. So and Christina Soontornvat is such a good writer that it feels like a story and you're just following along with these characters. She, the author, is an American, but was actually in Thailand visiting her family when this actually happened. So she was watching the Thai news, and one of her family members had to translate for her because she doesn't speak Thai. And she tells you all this in the author's note. And after this happened, she was so just wrapped in this story that she ended up being able to meet the boys from the soccer team. She interviewed their families, some of their parents, and she did so much research. And like I said, she's such a good writer that you really feel like you get to know the members of the team and their coach, Coach Eck. So I wanted to share a quote with you that she says in her author's note. In her interviews, she says, quote, "They taught me that impossible exists only in your mind. You are capable of so much more than you can even imagine." And that's ultimately why she decided to write this book, to share their message. You can see there's medals on the front of this. It won a lot of medals, including a Newbery Honor Book. So that's All 13. All right, the next book I want to recommend ties in. It could tie into a couple of the Bluebonnet books. There's the book Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. That's like an adventure fantasy from Rick Riordan Presents. That's a Bluebonnet book. There's another one on there that's more science fiction-y called Lexi McGill and the Teleportation Tournament by Kim Long. That's about teleporting. And so I picked to be a read-alike with those two books, this one, The Lion of Mars by Jennifer L. Holm. This is a brand new book. This is about a boy named Bell who has spent his whole life living on Mars. All 11 years of his life. He's 11. But he's just a regular kid. You know, he likes cats. He loves any kind of cake, really. But, you know, since he's lived on Mars, you have to think about it. He's never really seen a real river or trees. It's kind of amazing. And he's curious about all of the secrets of the adults in his life. They live on the U.S. colony on Mars, and they don't have contact with any of the other colonies, any of the other countries on Mars. And so he's wondering, what are the secrets that these adults are keeping? You know, why are they so isolated from the colonists from the other countries on Earth that also came and settled on Mars? This is kind of an interesting book to read during a pandemic because there is a virus outbreak that happens on Mars. Yeah. And the grown-ups all get sick, but the kids do not, and they are immune. So they're the only ones that can help. They do the work. And so it's up to Bell, who's already been curious about what's going on. So he's kind of putting together some clues about what's going on to try and save his family and all of the other adults, and possibly to even unite an entire planet. Such a good book. This is getting a lot of buzz. I expect to see this on recommended lists all next year, really. So Lion of Mars by Jennifer L. Holm. Oh, and you might know Jennifer Holm's name from The 13th Goldfish and other popular books. Turtle in Paradise was one of her most recent ones. So that's a great author to check out from the library. Okay, our next book is a funny book. So we want to lighten it up a little bit. One of the funniest books on the Bluebonnet list this year is The Best of Iggy. And that one is by Annie Barrows, who wrote the Ivy and Bean series. So some of you might be familiar with Annie Barrows. And yeah, that's a hilarious book. And you guys know I've talked before about one of the most hilarious authors, Mac Barnett. So I'm going to recommend one of his books. Oh yeah, but The Best of Iggy, if you guys read it, Iggy is 9 years old, and he, in that story, creates an account of the 3 times that he got into trouble, 2 of which he does not regret at all, and 1 for which he is very, very sorry. And, you know, so this one by Mac Barnett is approximately the same reading level as Iggy, but yeah, it's by Mac Barnett, who's hilarious, and did The Terrible 2 and The Terrible 2 Get Worse also. Okay, so in this one, this is a continuation of a series of Mac B. Kid Spy. This one is Mac Saves the World. In this one, the Queen of England calls on Mac B. This time, she asks him to navigate secret tunnels beneath the Berlin Wall in Germany in order to retrieve cheat codes from a Soviet scientist. So floppy disk in hand, our hero finds himself trapped in East Germany, east of the Berlin Wall, stuck between the wall and the Stasi. That's the police in East Germany. How will he escape? Well, it is 1989, and walls do fall down. And so that's a reference, a historical fiction reference to the Berlin Wall coming down in 1989. It's a very funny historical fiction book. But if you want something more serious about the Berlin Wall, I definitely want you guys to read A Night Divided by Jennifer A. Nielsen. That's closer to when the wall actually went up in the 1960s. A Night Divided. It's a great sort of adventure story that covers all that. Those are my 3 Bluebonnet tie-ins. Again, you can get the Bluebonnet list for 21-22 from the library front desk. If you want to try to check these out, you'll probably have to put a lot of them on hold because there's a waiting list. I know a lot of kids are trying to read them so that they can vote on the Bluebonnet Awards in the month of January. The whole idea for Bluebonnet is that you have to read 5 of those books from the list and then vote in January. But I have a bonus book to recommend to you. That's a newer book by David Levithan. This is called The Mysterious Disappearance of Aiden S., as told to his brother. Okay, so it has mysterious in the title, so we know it's kind of a mystery. But I think fans of things like Chronicles of Narnia might like this book, because like Dorothy getting blown into Oz and Lucy walking through the wardrobe into Narnia, Aiden S. also mysteriously disappears. Discovering a portal to a secret world, maybe in a closet, maybe in a wardrobe, would be thrilling. I think we can all agree. But have you ever thought about it? Wouldn't your family miss you? Yeah? And how would you feel when you came home from your adventures? Would you kind of miss being in this magical land like Narnia? Would your family even believe you if you told them where you were? I don't know. And Lucas is the little brother of Aiden, and he's the one that's telling this story. So he's the one that's been left behind, and his brother has gone missing. So he's scared of what's happened to his brother. And the whole town helps their family with search parties to find Aiden. Aiden finally reappears in their attic. And when he does, he's afraid that if he tells anyone, they won't believe him of where he was in this magical land. But Lucas is the one that heard the thump in the attic when he fell back out of this wardrobe and found Aiden on the floor in the attic. Lucas is the one that found a bright blue leaf in Aiden's hair, and we know that trees in this land are not blue. And Lucas is the only one who might actually get the truth out of Aiden. So this is a more like realistic fiction side of Worlds Behind Wardrobes. So if that sounds good to you, it's kind of fun to pick out all the references to Narnia and maybe some other books you might have read. Those are my recommendations for you. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. This video will be up on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for listening and happy reading. Bye.